So hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're doing a review for Ready to Love season 4 episode 11. And so this one is called Unfinished Business, and we see the episode starts off where AJ and Kyra are talking where it left off in the last episode, and he was basically telling her that this is her last day here and she's not ready to love. And then he took it back. He kind of made it in her court versus in his court, even though he didn't really want to let her go, even though he should have. But after he said that she was not ready to love, he put the ball back in her court and said, do you want to be here with me? And then she said, yes, she would love to, which I think is a lie. I think she wants to be there with Jason, but she wants to play is it really play a game? But she wants to be there longer. And so she tricked it, to my opinion, she tricked him, because he's not really who she wants. And she kind of said, yeah, I'd love to be here. And then he says, okay then. And so he said, I don't want to see you go. But you just saw her, she was ready to love. And now you're saying, oh, I don't want to see you go. And Kyra even said it herself, that she had not once chosen AJ, but he's choosing her. So now she's going to go for with him. I think that's her personality, as she stated in the beginning, that she wants somebody to she stated in the beginning that she wanted somebody to pursue her, where she didn't have to pursue them. So she wanted the guys to follow her around and things like that. And since as AJ clearly stated that, I think she feels more comfortable. And I felt like if Jason had done that when they were playing tennis last week, they would have chosen each other. But nobody wanted to be the bigger person and stated first that I wanted you. So now it has led to this. And so now AJ is going to tell Alexis that she's not ready to love. And how he said it, I felt like he was going to let her stay. I don't know, the words he used, I'm not sure if he's using the right words to her. Alright, so we'll see where AJ now meets up with Alexis by the pool, right? And she's all nervous and everything. And she's like, oh, you make me nervous. Then he holds her hand and hear her. Ooh, he brings me down from a 10 to a 0. I'm like, girl, holding up a hand cannot be that romantic. Well, probably it is to her. Can he really be that enticing to her? Because she's all chills for him. But anyways, he's saying to her, you and I will be in each other's life for a long time. When he's saying that, he's making it sound romantic, in my opinion. Only for him to say, we should just be friends and you're not ready to love. I was like, wait, what? Which I know that she was going home, but just the words that he uses. I feel like I'm not expecting a friend to say that. I'm expecting my boyfriend to say, we're going to be in each other's life for a long time. Hopefully, that conversation to me would lead to, I look forward to seeing you being as my future wife and things like that. But after he says, we're going to be in each other's life for a long time, he leaves it, you're not ready to love. Come on now. And so, now, it's the next day, they're all back from the ranch. And they are ladies, at the ladies lounge with Tommy. And we see Renisha walking in, Liz walking in, Amber walking in, and then they save Kyra for last. And when she walks in, Liz is like, Kyra is still here? She's like, oh no, not another competition again. Well, in my opinion. And so she was saying, oh, in her confessional, she's like, oh, she knew that AJ and Alexis had a strong connection. But I'm like, how do you know that he would have chosen, you didn't ask him, so how you know he would have chosen Alexis over Kyra, well, probably she didn't win a competition or not. So yeah, but she said, I want to know why Kyra is here. I'm a little bit confused. Why are you confused though? I don't get it. If AJ chose Kyra, why are you confused? He had a choice. Well, he probably is confused. He had a choice, and he made a choice. Do you guys think that she's bothered by Kyra being there, like a competition? And so Tommy came in and told the ladies, this should be the time for them to finalize, dates, have a more intimate date, talk, probably discuss the future, and see if everything is smooth with everyone. So we know that Venetia is gonna go with Joelle, Amber and Chris, Liz and Jason, and Kyra and AJ. So Tommy says he wants them to determine if they can get past the idea of being in just a relationship and look into more so them being a couple and see how is it like that relationship would work out. And so after Tommy leaves, Kyra says she wants to pursue her connections with AJ, but she still has unfinished business with Jason. And I'm like, oh boy, she's just stringing AJ along. Probably she just wanted to stay to finish this conversation with Jason, because she says that she's done, but if she's done, she would have let it go. And the fact that she did not let it go suggests to me that she's not over with Jason, in my opinion. So she said that the way how Jason positioned the questions to her at the ranch is not really how she viewed that it would have been a situation where it was AJ who had to choose between letting her stay or going home. And she said, she's a bit confused about that, and so she feels like that's what she has to talk to Jason about. So this was like, don't make it seem like I was the second pick. But do you guys really think she was the second pick, or do you think Jason genuinely chose her? I kind of have mixed feelings, because even though later on he says, which I'm getting far ahead, but even though later down he says to Liz that I would have still chosen you if Kyra chose me, I felt like he would have chosen Kyra if Kyra had chosen him, in my honest opinion, because I felt like that's why he was asking her where she stands. And if she would have said, I chose you, Jason, I felt like Jason would have chosen her, in my opinion. But he's gonna tell Liz, if she would have chosen me, I would have chosen you still, Liz. Do you guys really believe that? But well, nobody wants to feel like a second pick, so I can get where Liz is coming from. So the first date we're seeing is with Venetia and Joelle, and I think she has invited him to her house. And so they're talking, and she cooks a little something, she's lighting a candle, and we see where they're sitting and eating. And they're basically confirming, that they've chosen each other and are looking to move forward. And so Joelle asks, so what's next for us? Shouldn't he be the one answering that question? Like, I'd like to pursue you more. He's asking her. And I like how Venetia turned around and said, let me ask you that. And then he says, well, let's see where this thing goes. I don't like when people say that, let's see where this goes. What does that mean? To me, that's just like open in the air. What does let's see where this goes? I mean, do you want to start dating? Be exclusive? Like, I like to hear things like that. Like, can we really state what specifically we want in moving forward? I feel like they've been dating, I think the show is like 6-7 weeks, and so at this point, I mean, you probably know what you want, honestly, in my opinion. I would say at the end where they do a little smooshy, and then we see the next date is Jason and Liz, and we see, of course, with Liz on Jason, I mean, she's literally smiling from ear to ear. She said, and Jason says, I'm glad that I've made that decision, and I'm guessing, he means to have chosen her. He says, I appreciate you through all of this. You've been consistent, and you've chosen me, and I feel like that's what he wants. And I feel like, I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but I feel like that's what girls are supposed to want, feel chosen. That's what he wants, to be chosen. Nothing wrong with being chosen, in my opinion, honestly, because I feel like both feelings should be reciprocated. Like, guys should know that they're appreciated just like how girls should know they're appreciated. But I'm not saying that, though. Normally it's the guy is the one that's taking the lead, but in this instance Jason wants the female to take the lead. And do you guys see a problem with that, with Jason wanting the girl to take the lead instead of him actually taking the lead? Because I felt like if he would have just taken the lead, he'd have taken the lead and chosen Kyra. And I'm really not trying to ship them together like that, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's where the clashing is. Kyra's not going to choose a guy because she wants to be pursued, and Jason, I don't know, he seems to want the girl to lead, so he's not going to choose first. And so, that's what he said to Liz, that she has been pretty consistent and that she has been transparent with him. And then, she threw the curveball at him and said, if Kyra would have told you, clearly what her position was, would you have still chosen me? Which would have been still chosen her, Liz. And he said, you and me would still be sitting here. And then she started grinning from ear to ear, because he said, I've already had a made up mind. That's what he said. And then he says, I needed to hear from the horse's mouth. What would you need to hear from the horse's mouth, though? If you would have already chosen Kyra, like, what she had to say shouldn't really matter. Though, if you would have already chosen Liz. And now I feel that's where he's being disingenuous, in my opinion. Because if he already made a decision, why are you wasting Kyra's time? You should have told her that at the ranch, that Liz is your choice. He never said that. He was waiting for her to make a choice. What he's saying, he wanted to hear from the horse's mouth. What do you want to hear from her mouth if you already chose Liz? He wanted to hear that she wanted to choose him. That is my opinion, and I'm gonna stick with that. I feel he's being disingenuous to Liz, or because he knows he's going to be published on TV, he doesn't want to say anything that would hurt her feelings. And then he said to Liz, he felt that Kyra was being disingenuous because she didn't have a made up mind. But Jason, you did have a made up mind, in my opinion. So he says he felt as though Kyra was being disingenuous for not having a made up mind, because he was saying that, at this point in the process, you should know, who you want to choose already. And then we see, after that conversation, Jason went and brought Liz out a rose that he got for her, a white rose, and he was saying, he's only ever given 2 persons in his life white roses, his mother and his stepmother, and he's giving her the 3rd to represent pureness, because that's how he views her. And he was saying that she kept it pure and honest, and that she was resilient. And he says to him, white represents purity, and he said that she was a pure-hearted woman, and he said that she was worth it and that she was worth the pursuit. And he wanted to give her that rose, to show her some love. And so, guys, it was literally just 1 rose. Not even like a dozen, like just 1. You guys, I don't know, I don't really feel a way about that. I mean, what he said was kind of cute. I read in a comment, some persons were saying that he was basically looking at her like a mother and not romantic. I don't know, I felt though he was being really nice in saying that, that he views her of such high esteem, like he does his mother and stepmother, that he would give her a rose. That's how I view it, as when he gave her the rose. I thought that was nice and sweet. He seems like a very romantic guy. Next, we're seeing Amber and KG. They're going on a date, and so we see that they're talking. And at this point, we see where they're talking about the future, and he's saying that he wanted to talk to her about the whole Ron situation, because he said that persons were saying things about Ron's situation and how she kissed Ron, and she obviously didn't tell him. And so he said that persons were asking him how he felt about that situation, and he said that he wanted to get from her some confirmation and affirmation that things are good. And then he was like, oh, so there's no sliding in the DMs from Ron, blah blah blah, or she to him. And then she said, I stopped communication with him. There was nothing there. And then she said, with the situation, at this point I don't have any twos or threes, it's just you and I. And then Katie said, neither do I. And then she says, I feel like we have something great going on here. And she's enjoying it, and she'd love to see where it goes. And so I feel that's good, but I feel like at the end, do you guys think that KG is fully over that situation? Like, he said he was okay, but do you guys think he's okay with the whole situation? I wouldn't be. I would have felt a way that it was only when it was aired out to everybody that she was now telling him. That's how I would have felt. And so we see that they started talking about kids, and he was saying something about 3, and then he asked her about her, how she feels about kids, and she said she likes kids, and she said that she would like to be married first. And then he said something that I'm not sure about. He said that we don't have to be married because I'm not even having sex. What does that mean? Or did he mean something else? And then she was like, you don't want to have sex ever in life? And then he's like, well, not before married. But I'm like, you said just now in previous episodes that you don't necessarily want to be married, but you can have a lifetime partner. But now you're saying you wait until marriage to have sex. I don't get that part. I was a bit confused, because 1 minute they're saying, or are they saying that they don't necessarily have to be, I don't know. They're confusing me a bit with this, like, marriage, not married, lifetime commitment, partner, children situation. Because I get if he was saying that, it would have been better understood if he wouldn't have said that he was trying to wait until marriage to have sex, because he clearly stated that he doesn't necessarily want to get married. So does he mean that he doesn't necessarily want to have sex? And Amber was like, oh no, can I get you to change your mind a little bit? Because baby, I can't do that. He's like, he's practicing semen retention. He's trying to protect his sexual energy because he says that that's important to him. And so we get that, but why didn't you mention that to her all the way earlier? So he was like, he's giving it to women who weren't deserving of his sexual energy. And so now the next time he does it, he wants to make sure, it's with the right one. I was like, oh God. Okay, so listen here, she said in the confessional. Amber girl deserves those connections, damn well. So it doesn't seem like Amber is willing to wait until marriage to go. I feel like this is what they should have discussed, he's like, you know what, if we go now, we could have triplets, we could have quadruplets. I guess he's talking about, you know, to how long he hasn't had sex, like his sperms are just built up and ready to flush out. Do you guys think like that's going to be like a turn off, like the whole sexual energy thing? Do you think people should be persuaded, like she should persuade him to have sex even though he wants to wait until marriage? Or do you think he should persuade her to wait even though she's not off that idea? Or should they just end it? Because I honestly do think, you know, I think everybody should make their own decision. He decides to get married, she doesn't necessarily want to wait. And I think that's how it should be, in my opinion. And so next we see Kara and AJ going on a date. And then I heard she said, you know, she didn't really give AJ a fair shake, so that's what she's going to do that now. And she said, I like AJ a lot, we've always had a connection, but she's never really given him a fair shake. I'm like, oh boy. See, you know, he's second best for her, in my opinion. She's never given him a fair shake, but she's going to be giving him all the attention now. So AJ is saying that he's made his choice, but the thing is, has Kara made her choice? So she says her intention for them is to move forward, and then she says, you know, she's in a good place. He says, are you? And then he says, she said to him, are you in a good place? And then, you know, she says, I'd like to know where we stand. And I feel like that's not a wrong question. Like, we need to ask, where do we stand? And he's saying, if you still gotta ask that, he jokingly said, you know what, maybe we should just send you home. Which, oh god, that's not that funny, but not funny. To me, he doesn't really answer questions. But he said, you know, my focus is just on you now, so you're going to be catching all of this heat. That's still not answering a question about where we stand. Like, can he just say, I like for us to date or something? I don't like the beating around the bushes. Like, I'm going to have to interpret what you just said to get my own answer. I like straightforward answers. And he says, you know, I've always felt like I've been admiring Kara from afar. And, you know, we dated in the past. And so he doesn't want this second chance opportunity to miss him. And to me, I feel like he's always trying to make up for that past date that they never got to, and he's always trying to make it up. But like, when are you ever going to get there though? I feel like that's what it is with him and her. They're trying to make the past better, or for him at least, trying to make the past better. And so she asked him if he felt like he made the right decision. He doesn't even answer the question again. This is what he says. Sometimes it's not about whether you make the right decision or not. It's about what's right in the moment. So he's like, you know, when you have that feeling of when you make a decision, then you have to start like second thinking. Like, what if I would have done something? Or what if I would have pursued that person? He says he doesn't want to live with that what if. And so, you know, that's where he basically is. He doesn't want to live with a regret as it relates to what if I would have done that, and maybe would have had a different outcome. And that's still not him answering the question. So then Kara says in her confessional, you know, that she's excited to see where the future goes, but she still has some reservation. You know, she had a connection with Jason, and she feels like she needs to talk to him. See, now she keeps saying that she's choosing AJ, but she's still thinking about Jason. Clearly she's not over him, and clearly she's not fully choosing AJ at all, because this is just showing to me that AJ is now second best, and shows to me that in him wanting to send her home at first, Alexis was the second best, which you already know that part. And so now we see that they're back at the ladies' lounge, and the ladies are talking about how their dates went. And we see where basically Amber was talking about her and Chris, and how Chris was saying, he is doing semen retention, which is, basically celibacy. And she was saying that everybody was laughing. And she was like, oh y'all, you better pray for me. And then Nephi told me, it's like, I'm not gonna pray for semen retention, but like, so they were all laughing at that. And then they were talking to Joel. Renisha, she was saying, Joel and I are solidified. We're deciding to, move forward together and everything. And she was saying, we've discussed that. We've realized that when we have issues, that we can definitely talk through it and work through it, and that's good for her. And so Liz was talking about when she asked Jason about his decision, and she said Jason said that he made his decisions weeks ago, and that what he wanted to do was just to hear from the horse's mouth. So that's what she was saying. And in saying that, Kara started laughing. And then Liz says in her confessional that, that she thinks that was a bit disrespectful, and that she's not really going to take it anyway, but she thinks it has to do with something that's going on with inside Kara. And then, she said that after that conversation, she was basically explaining that he gave her a rose and what the rose signified to her, and he was saying, it signifies important women, like his mom, his stepmom, and then now he's giving her the third one. And everybody was like, oh, that's so lovely and everything. And so Carol was saying, no, it's her time to talk. And she said in her confessional that she wasn't really meaning to be rude, but what Liz was saying was comical to her, because not once did Jason ever mention being a celibate, waiting until marriage, and he never mentioned that was something of importance, but that's of importance to Liz. And so she was saying, that was kind of being two-faced. So she's saying that doesn't make sense, which is true. Probably he's willing to do that for her, but did he not say that though? I feel like earlier on he was saying he wasn't willing to do that. Do you guys remember him saying that though? In one of the first few episodes. Even though I think when they went on that roller coaster date, he was saying that he does not have a problem with waiting. But I think I remember him saying that with somebody. Or was it somebody else? I remember Jason though saying that he doesn't think he wants to wait until marriage. Probably it was with somebody else or something. But I get what Kara is saying. It was really fair to kind of laugh though. But sometimes it comes out. And then Kara would say that to the ladies that right. So Kara was saying that she felt like the position was put on her to choose, and to make it seem as if she was playing game, and she thinks it's ironic because it seems as though Jason was playing game, maybe not with Liz but with her, in saying that he made his decisions weeks ago, but that was not conveyed to her, because if he had made his decision weeks ago, why was he pressing her about making a choice? And so that would make sense. So she was saying, if you already made your choice, why do you want to hear what I have to say? It shouldn't necessarily or shouldn't at all impact you. And so I get what Kara's saying. I definitely agree with her here. And then Liz was saying that Jason wanted to hear from the horse's mouth where she stood. I'm like, why would he want to hear from her mouth? If he already chose you, he should want to hear from your mouth, not Kara's mouth. And so I'm like, is she really thinking about what he really said? And she said, yeah, so she said he said that he just wanted to clarify from her mouth because he felt like some of the things that she was saying were disingenuous. But he was really being disingenuous though, because Kara had to choose between two and he had to choose between two, and he never chose until Kara didn't really choose, and so he chose Liz after. And so she was saying, why was he forcing her? Kara was saying, why was he forcing her to make a decision when at that time Jason didn't have a made up mind also. And so she was saying that she wasn't ready at that time to make a decision. And so seeing what Jason did just showed her that he's somebody that would mishandle her in a relationship. I wonder what she means by mishandle her. If you guys get what she means, you guys can let me know down below what you guys think she means. And then Tammy says it seems like Kara herself and Jason have some things to talk about. And so you guys realize, like, all this time she's been talking about Jason, and at one time has she brought up AJ, which is who she should have been talking about, because that's the date that she went on. And so Tommy was like, let's move on another note. How was the date with AJ? And so that's how she got talking about her date with AJ, and I'm like, oh boy, here it is. And so yeah, so she was saying that her date with AJ went well, and the fact that he chose her spoke volumes to her about the relationship, and she's saying that she's ready to begin this journey with him. And so he was asking her if the process ended today, if she would choose AJ, and she said, yeah, I'm gonna rock with him. He's like, are you 100%? And she's like, yeah. I don't think she's 100% though. And so we normally see where it's normally 3 couples, but this season it's 4 couples. And so he's gonna throw another curveball at them. But he's saying since everybody's coupled up, nobody is getting eliminated. Almost all. And so Renisha, after Nephi Tommy left, Renisha said, how is everybody feeling? And Kara is like, I have a little bit of really a little bit. She says, I feel like Jason was being fair towards me. And then Amber says, seems like you're still bothered. And then she was like, did you genuinely? So Amber was asking, are you genuinely choosing AJ, or are you choosing AJ because Jason didn't choose you? And then she said, oh no, I genuinely choose AJ, which I believe that's a lie. And so she said that she's gonna take Tommy's advice and go out on a date with him. And then this is where Lisa, she feels like Kara was trying to attack Jason's character, and she says that Jason to her has always been upfront and honest. Maybe to you, but maybe not to her. And so she's like, oh, I'm going to choose my battles wisely. And so I would say that Kara and Jason are about to meet up. Kara invites him out, and so he says he gets a call from Kara. He's a bit confused because he felt like he already said everything that he needed to say, and that he already has a made up mind. And so he says, if somebody needs clarity, that he's going to give them that clarity. Kara says that she feels, this conversation is due. And she says that she's feeling a bit frustrated and disappointed in Jason. I'm like, ooh, frustrated? Ooh. And then, she was saying to Jason that in talking to Liz says that you made your decision weeks ago. And if you made your decision weeks ago, why would you not tell me, Kara? So that's what Kara is saying. Why would you not tell me that you made up your mind weeks ago? And he said, hear him. I've said so much. When he said that, I feel like he was saying things and not genuinely meaning them. Because he's saying, I've said so many things, I really don't remember what I'm saying or what I was saying. And so he said, for me to tell her I made my mind up weeks ago, that was wrong on my part, because that's not really true. He didn't make his mind up weeks ago. Exactly. And he says, at the tennis court, he needed clarity then. And she wasn't necessarily providing clarity with that. And he said, he's comfortable with the decision that he's made, which is to pursue a relationship with Liz. And he says one thing that he's noticed with Kara over the times that they've linked up is that she is kind of like interrogating instead of like living in the moment type thing. And that's one of the things that he's not like appreciating about her, that he just sees that she's coming with questions and questions. But I feel like, isn't that what relationship is kind of about though, in the beginning? Like asking questions to make sure it's the right person. Like you want to make sure you ask questions so they can say you didn't ask questions though. Like if it were to like ask like what are we, the person can say, oh, but you never asked me what we were, so I just never clarified. Instead of I'm gonna ask questions. I'm gonna ask, do you want kids? I'm gonna ask, what do you want in a relationship? Are you looking for a serious relationship, or are you looking for a marriage? I'm going to ask. But you know what, sometimes you should just I'm not saying like that's gonna be my only thing I'm gonna be asking. I do want to enjoy the moment, but I'm gonna ask questions. But as Kara said, she's just trying to ask questions in order to figure out who the person is. And she's still trying to get to know them. And I agree with Kara on that. So Jason is saying, and Kara asking so many questions, he feels like, what is he doing so bad that he needs so many clarifications? But Kara is saying, no, it's not you. I'm the one who needs the clarification for myself. And then he's asking her, what is it that you want to tell me? And then she said, I want to make the best decision for me. And then she said, so Kara said she wanted him to say, Kara, what is your decision for you? Not about your decision, Jason's timing. So she wanted the focus to be on her, which he wanted the focus to be on him. So we see that he chose Liz because Liz chose him. In my opinion, that's what he did. And so we see that that's what Kara is saying. She wanted him to choose her. And so she said, he was saying something, but he would have checked out a long time ago. And we see that he's asking her, what is it that she wants? Like, what is it? He was like, what is it that you want, Kara? And then, she went on to ask if she would have related the situation, like on the tennis court, a bit differently, if his decision would have been different or the outcome would have been different. And he said, no, I think it would have still been the same. I don't believe that, but we're going to go with that. And he said he feels confident with the Liz. She said, okay. And she was like, based on how things are going so far, I think we should just stay friends. And I'm like, you're not the one making that decision. He already made that decision by choosing Liz. And I'm like, here goes Cara trying to take control. I think this was a method of her taking control. I can see it. We should just stay friends when he already made that decision before her about staying friends. And then he says, you know what? Do you feel better? And she said, no. And she said, oh, because I hate how we got into this situation. And she said, I hate that we had to have this discussion and that we allowed somebody else to be in the space. So based on this, I can see that she's really hurt, in my opinion. And so now we're at the end where we see all four couples are meeting up. So we know who's together. And so we see Amber, KG, Liz and Jason, Renisha and Joelle, and Kyra and AJ. And so we see that Liz now is giving her 2 cents, and hear her. She's like, you know, she's so happy to see everybody together. She said Renisha and Joelle, you know, they seems like they are already married. She said Amber and Chris, they match with their uniqueness. That's what she said. And then she said Kyra and AJ, I'll be honest, I'm not so sure. I'm like, the shade. And she said hopefully they'll work it out. And then she was like, me and Jason, that's my boo. And she smiled. I'm like, girl, you messy. And then we see where, you know, a part where Jason and Liz are having a nice conversation and they're laughing away, and Kyra looks over and she's like, I honestly wasn't expecting to feel this way. And she was like, you know, seeing the both of them really got under her skin. And then this is her trying to make it up. However, I like AJ a whole lot. And I'm like, she's like, so I'm going to be focused on him wholeheartedly, but I'm still having some reservations on Kyra. Alright, so she said, you know, she likes AJ, but she was saying to herself, do you like him enough to say? So she was saying, you know, she was thinking if in this moment she's ready to make a commitment to AJ. And I'm like, but why did you say that at the ranch though? Because he asked you, like, do you want to pursue me? And she said yes. But then now here she's saying she's not sure if she's ready to commit to that. And I'm like, you're confusing the guy. Why would you do that? And so now it's gonna end here, and we have next week's episode where they're going to meet families, and we're gonna see the finals, and then we're gonna have the reviews the reunion the week after. So you guys should definitely give me your thoughts below on this entire episode. Bye.